Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Season 3 PXF Draft. Hoping you guys can hear me. Here tonight, I've got joining me as my co-host, Sam, aka Trunan Dunn. How you doing, Sam?
Doing fantastic. Getting ready to get this second championship on the roll.
Yeah, back-to-back finals appearances for you guys. Obviously, we've got the Atlanta Falcons arena or stadium here as our backdrop tonight, as they are the reigning champions. So congratulations to them. And yeah, we'll see how they do tonight in the draft. Before we move on to the next screen and get the draft underway, do you have any predictions or anything you want to say to the viewers there, Sam?
Just want to say thank you to all the people that have joined us. It's been a busy last couple of days with some people coming in, checking it out. I think one of the people that joined recently, I want to say it was Swift, I think you said it was getting some bodies in.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. And, even up till just a couple hours ago, we had some people add and progress and get ready for the draft. So helps a lot to get people in. We had a long season, so thank you for everybody for being patient and get this rolling and then get the season going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Thanks to everybody who's here, everybody who joined, and yeah, we're pretty excited to get this draft and this next season underway. Yeah, somebody in the chat saying Swift got him here. Yeah, Swift DM'd me after he joined, said he invited like 10 or more people, and really went on the recruiting trail for us a few days before the draft. So thanks to him as well.
Yeah, I see in the chat he posted he can get more. We do have more openings, so if you have more folks that are interested, then we have a lot of defensive spots open, but we definitely still have openings. So get them in here.
Yeah, the available positions channel is kept up to date. If there's a green check mark on a player creation, that means that's been reflected in the available positions. So whatever's in there is how many openings we have. Anybody who joins after right now will be eligible for waivers post draft and still be on a team by week 1 if they join soon enough. All right. So without further ado, let's get right into it and kickstart this draft. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock. Nothing, this draft production, it's nothing crazy fancy like you'll see in a couple days with Dave Axis, but we do have a 3-minute pick clock, maximum 3 minutes per selection. Picks are coming in live, just like they will in a few days, just like they did for Sable. Creates chaos. It's a great way to draft. Do you have any thoughts on, I guess, which direction Philly goes? Or actually, if you've got the channel open, you can go ahead and announce that pick, even if you want to. He was pretty quick on the draw there.
I did not see it, so just kind of talk through what everybody's going to be seeing the Eagles drafting tonight. They're going to have a quarterback, but there's only one quarterback in the draft, and they're the only team without one, so that one's not a whole lot of intrigue. But then they're going to go also wide receiver, defensive end. They have outside linebacker positions open and cornerback positions. So if you want to go ahead and announce it, I was in a different tab, so you can go ahead and call it if you already see it.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing on the team needs that you just read off there, it's there's a lot of needs, but as you mentioned, a lot of openings in the league still. So not every team will get all of what they need tonight, but we should be able to make a decent dent with that late recruiting surge. So with the first overall selection, the Philadelphia Eagles are going outside linebacker Ricky Spider. One of those new creations. Already seen him in the chat. He's been pretty active so far. So congratulations to him on being first overall pick. And yeah, a nice active person. Outside linebacker is a big need for the Eagles. Krieg really talked about that a lot. So not surprising to see him take an outside linebacker. I do think we will see a few of them go in the first round here. What are your thoughts on that pick while I get ready to submit my selection as the Steelers are on the clock?
I think that's going to be a theme that we have going all night is some defense going early. Most teams have an established offense for the most part. As those that joined the league saw, there weren't very many openings on offense. So I definitely think that we're going to see a bunch of defense early. Looks like a good pick. Obviously, I've never been in a server with Ricky, but it'd be great to see it. I was looking; he put in a balanced progression, and he's looking to looks like more of a coverage build to start. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I think we're going to hear defense a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just catching up on the chat here. Someone said to either turn my mic up or yours down, so I just turned down Sam's mic a little bit. Let me know if that's better. Also, somebody asked no tight end positions. Philadelphia doesn't need tight ends, but there are a couple of teams that do. So if you're a tight end, don't worry, um, you'll still hear your name called tonight. All right. With my second selection, or my first selection, the second overall pick, I selected linebacker Jan Lashik, somebody that I know pretty well from goals, and I made it for those in the league. You might have noticed I made a trade a couple days ago. The Steelers did with the Chicago Bears to trade up to number 2. This was why we wanted Lashik. He's a great guy. We're really thrilled to bring him into the locker room. So back-to-back outside linebackers going here to kick things off. Doesn't really surprise me. I expected to see a run on them, and I don't think it's quite done yet between the outside linebackers and even the defensive ends and things like that. The front seven, I think we'll see a lot of early picks here. What are your thoughts there, Sam, as we throw... Actually, you're on the clock, so I can keep talking if you need to think through your pick a little.
Well, my thoughts are, I think he was talking Steelers from day one, so I'm not surprised either that that's the direction we went. I see he picked Pittsburgh for his university and everything, so it's what I hit you up about earlier. I assume that's which direction you were going, so definitely does not surprise me. And then for my pick, I also you traded up to make sure you could get the player that you wanted. I did the same thing just a couple hours ago. In different drafts and different leagues, I've seen this name coming up quite a bit, and I will not be able to select him in goals, I don't believe, because I picked so late. But I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity, so I traded up to select middle linebacker Jack.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's a great pick. I think that's somebody you mentioned the goals draft coming up in a few days. I think he'll hear his name early in that draft as well. And not an outside linebacker, but the run on linebackers continues to start things off here as that front seven gets becomes so important in this league as teams are starting to build up defensively. We saw offenses kind of run rampant last season with a lot of rookies, but I think this season, with a lot of defensive players staying put and teams game planning improving a little bit, I think these defensive positions are going to become a lot more important. So congratulations to Jack on being the third overall pick. And that's going to throw the Chicago Bears on the clock, a team that we're going to see quite a bit tonight. I got to change the logo, but a team I think we'll see quite a bit going on the clock here tonight, as they have most of the second round in their possession, at least half of it, I think, maybe 3 or 4 picks in the second round. So some big trades. They also have the biggest list of needs. They need a wide receiver, a couple tight ends, couple defensive ends, couple defensive tackles, a middle linebacker, a couple outside linebackers, and a cornerback. So definitely a laundry list here for Potty, a new owner to the league, but somebody who did quite well in goals, taking over a team that seemed like it was going to lose a lot of pieces, and made the most of it and made a decent playoff run. So do you have any predictions here as to where the Bears are going to take this, Sam?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would like to chime in on is towards the end of the season, we saw a lot more defense. Like you talked about, we figured out some game planning on how to neutralize some of the receivers. I think that's a big part in what got the Falcons the championship. I mean, you don't want to look at the final score of the championship game, but there were big plays on defense that gave some good field position. So it's definitely getting to where it's catching up to the offense. And I think when you look at Chicago, they still have a couple of receivers on roster. I don't think they're going to struggle to put up points because I know that Matt stepped down from being the coach for the Cowboys, and then they relocated to Chicago, but he's still on the team, and that's a receiver that just puts up stats all over the place, and he's helping with the offense as well. And then we all know about Guns and how he runs out of the backfield. He was the first guy to kind of peek out in some speed stuff. So him and Rose. So I think that they need to build that defense. They don't have anybody at all in the front seven. So I'm sure they'll probably go defensive line here, linebackers again. We might see another linebacker come off, but not very many defensive linemen in the draft. I would anticipate something going that direction.
Yeah, and the pick has come in. Did you have it open? You want to read it, or do you want me to read this one off?
You can have at it.
All right, so we've got they did go defensive line. They're going defensive end AJ Kilgannon. Hopefully I pronounced that one right. So another one of those newer creations. One thing with this league, as opposed to something like goals or whatever, is all the rookies are coming in even. There's no minor league established yet this early in the league's history. So, we're gonna throw the Dolphins on the clock with that. But so there's no minor league developed in this league yet, and therefore, like, all the rookies are coming in pretty level as far as abilities. Just what they chose to spend their first progression on is really the big difference, and then the activity level of the user. So doesn't surprise me to see some early picks here be some newer people, even though there's been a few that maybe have been waiting a couple weeks for this day, and you'll still hear your name called. And ultimately in sim leagues, it doesn't really matter how early you're picked. It matters more where you're picked, like which team or what locker room you join. But any thoughts on the Kilgannon pick here, Sam?
I think it's a great pick. I mean, the first progression kind of tells you what direction they're planning on going. And he put in a bunch of power stuff. They need somebody to, anchor the defensive line when they don't have any D line or linebackers. They need somebody to kind of hold that spot. Or a team like San Francisco or even Atlanta started running towards the end of the season. Philadelphia likes to run, so you're going to have some defensive guys up front that can hold up. So I think it's a great pick. Kind of depending on your football philosophy, most teams like to build from lines out. So I think it's a good pick that should give them some oomph on that line a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of the people, even though they're newer to the league, a lot of the people who joined the last few days did come over from, SFL or goals or other leagues like that. So they do have that sort of activity history to go off as well for people in those other leagues. So definitely a asset there. And the Dolphins pick is in, which will throw the Falcons on the clock next. And the Dolphins continue the run on outside linebackers and take another new player. And that's going to be outside linebacker John Canada going to Miami. It's team. John Canada's user is I believe Alexis Svechnikov in goals. So teammates with Trev over there on Florence. Just joined the league today. I think that was, Trev said, now you can't say I didn't help recruits or something along those lines. So definitely somebody he just recruited into the league and made a position he needed. And there you go. He picks him at number 5 after trading down, picking up an extra pick, and gets probably the player he wanted in the end of it. What are your thoughts on seeing another outside linebacker off the board?
Well, the pool is already getting small, so I think it's kind of a forced pick a little bit. Like you said, it's somebody that he plays with, so I'm sure he's not upset about it. But getting a linebacker was kind of a necessity at that point, and we're down to only having two middle linebackers and one outside linebacker left on the board. So I anticipate a little bit more noise from them before we move over to the offensive side of the ball. But when you look at the Dolphins from last season, they struggled on stopping teams on third down. I know that they weren't excited when third down would come up. So adding some more defensive help would be good because it's another team that I don't think they're going to have to worry about points. They lost a couple of good receivers over the last 2 seasons, but now they have Muxworth in there and they have Scurvy at running back, Ali and Lewis both with a season under them, and then they have one of the better tight ends in the league as well. So getting more defense, I think, is we're going to sound like a broken record talking about it, but it's going to be definitely coming off the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Defense is so important in this league. I think we saw it with, like you said, later in the season as the defenders got a little more progression under their belt and the coaches got better at game planning. Things did improve that way. Um, so definitely a not a surprise to see that run on defensive players here early. Um, yeah, and even though there's only one outside linebacker on the board, there still is a couple teams that need them. So just because there's only one of a position left doesn't mean that a team can wait till the end to get them now. There's only four positions like that in the draft. That's going to be quarterback, wide receiver, corner, no, not corner, wide receiver, quarterback, safety, and middle linebacker, I believe, are the only ones where we might have to wait a little bit to hear the last one called, because I believe every team that needs them will get those positions filled, if I'm not mistaken. So, um, Ricky Spider asked if Atlanta needs a linebacker as well. They do need a linebacker as well. However, their pick is in, and they went a different direction here. They went with tight end Liam Swift going to the Falcons. Um, so congratulations to Swift. Like we mentioned, we gave him a shout out at the top here. Um, did a lot of the recruiting in the last few days to take this draft from what might have been 2 rounds to, or just over 2 rounds maybe without him, up to a little over 4 rounds now. So much appreciated and very deserving of being a first round selection here, going sixth overall. Any quick thoughts on the Swift pick before we roll things over to round two with the Eagles on the clock?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me is if you look at the rosters and what positions everybody needed, is the only offensive player in the draft that's going to be penciled in as probably a starter. So I think that's pretty interesting on the offense. That there was only the one tight end spot that was going to be looking for a starter, and that is now Mr. Swift at Atlanta, assuming that he beats out whomever else they take later in the draft.
Yeah, true. And there's not a ton of tight ends in the draft. I think there's only a couple. There were quite a few created, but a couple of them left before the draft. So I think only 2 or 3 tight ends in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. There might be more than that, but yeah, Chicago and Atlanta, I think, are the only teams that need them, if I'm not mistaken. So, and we're falling slightly behind here, not crazy behind, but I'm gonna go ahead and read off the Eagles pick, and we're looking at, if I can find the board here. Uh, with the first pick of the second round, the Eagles are going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going to take defensive end Rob Harker. So another front seven player going. That's now 6 of the first 7 picks have been on that side of the ball, and definitely a position of need. Krieg was talking about needing an outside linebacker and a defensive end. He's able to address both needs here. And Harker's somebody I think if we drafted maybe 5 days ago might have been second overall, first overall, third overall, something like that. But just with the influx of new people, it just added a lot more names into the mix. So definitely a great pick here. Any thoughts on this one as we throw the Bears on the clock for 3 consecutive selections here?
Yeah, that fills out the Philadelphia front line, which again, I think Krieg wants to run the ball and stop the run as well. So probably not too much of a surprise. I thought there was a chance, maybe another linebacker, but I think filling out that front four is very important with his defense.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yeah, like that front line, like you said, he's a running back himself. He likes to run the ball, stop the run, that physical style of play. So, not surprising here to see a defensive lineman go to the Eagles. Um, just seeing if there's anything going on in chat here. Apparently, the Bears are far more tolerable than the Cowboys. Um, so that's seems to be a popular opinion. Sorry, Matt, but yeah. All right, we're moving on. We got the Bears. So they did put all 3 picks here. I'll read them off one at a time. We'll kind of react to them and then read the next one, if that works for you. So the first pick of their 3 consecutive, which will be the 8th overall pick, number 2 of the second round, that's going to be Richard Richardson um, which is a middle linebacker going to Chicago. Any thoughts on Richardson being the number 8 pick here, Sam?
Yeah, again, they have the offense, so not surprised. I mean, we're going to see it for the next couple of picks as well. I mean, getting that defense and getting it all settled up. So I didn't do a whole lot of looking at defensive ends and outside linebackers because I was fortunate. The majority of my front seven was full, so I didn't get a chance to look at these guys too much. But not a surprise to fill out and take the last one in that spot.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely a position of need here for the Bears, trying to build out that defense. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe that the Cowboys last season were the worst defensive team in the league. I think they allowed like 63 or more points in almost every game, which sounds like a crazy high number. It kind of is, but in our league, scoring was up quite a bit, so 63 points isn't as crazy as it sounds compared to real life football, but it is quite a bit to allow as well. So as they look to build out that defense and kind of address that, they are going to continue that trend here with the third pick of the second round, and that's going to be Skinny Washington, defensive tackle. Another one of the new-ish creations. So definitely, continuing that trend. This is now of the first 9 picks, 8 defensive players. So, any thoughts on Skinny Washington and that selection here at nose tackle?
Well, I don't personally know Skinny, but my opinion got a little shook when I saw he was talking to Hume. So I think they must be a SFL connection.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he just tolerates Hume. He doesn't like him, but it's good to see the SFL guys come over. I know there's a lot of changes going in that league. Plus, there's just it's in the off season right now, so it's nice to see some folks come over that obviously know some football and they're looking to continue to play. So if Hume knows them, I can't decide if that's good or bad, but it's great to see defensive tackles coming into the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Hume. I think he's teammates with Swift in the SFL, so a lot of the people that Swift brought over probably know Hume through that connection. And Hume said that the Tulsa locker room is a very good one, a very positive, active locker room. He enjoys quite a bit. So, if these are players all from that team, or even a few of them, then should be a good sign for sure for any of these people picking them. Up next, we've got going to Chicago is outside linebacker Tyler Commander is completing this trio of picks for the Bears, and yet again another defensive player. And there's a typo there, of course, as I'm doing this all live in OBS. So not the best, but yeah, Tyler Commander. That makes it 9 of 10 to start the draft, being defensive positions. Sam, any thoughts here as we throw the Dolphins up on the clock?
My only thought with Tyler is, the name sounded familiar, so I got looking and somebody from ESL that I believe he
Oh yeah.
races in. I believe he's in the '87 class with me. I'm not sure. I know that we've been in the YouTube channel and chatted a couple times, so I was wondering how the name was familiar, but came over from ESL, so that's nice to get somebody from there, and it's a league that we both enjoy. So. Again, getting the last. This is where I misspoke. I said that there was the last person at that position, but there's one more middle linebacker, but this was the last outside linebacker. I was looking ahead a little bit, and so the Bears got the last outside linebacker on the board. So we're done with the draft there. So there's still gonna be 3 openings for those of you that are helping get people in. There's gonna be 3 outside linebacker openings for the teams after the draft.
Yeah, now that you mentioned Tyler Commander in the SF or ESL, yeah, that's absolutely where I know him from too. I was trying to think of it, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's had some pretty bad luck over there in the '87 series. Had a few wrecks. Hume likes to complain about the luck he's had this season. I think Tyler, if it's the same Tyler that I'm thinking of, has had a little bit of worse luck um, than Hume has over there. So yeah, always
Yeah.
good to see the crossover between leagues as well. Were you gonna say something?
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, all good. And the Dolphins pick is in, and that is defensive tackle. So we're continuing the defensive run as defensive tackle Tyree Wells going to Miami. I believe so. That's two defensive tackles off the board now. Is that all of them, or was there a third one and I can't remember? Do you know that
And no,
offhand?
that was all of the defensive tack. Oh wait, which one was it? Tyree Wells.
Yeah, and Skinny
Yeah,
Washington was the other one.
yeah. Tyree was the last defensive tackle.
Okay. Yeah. So no more defensive tackles, no more outside linebackers. There's these defensive positions are starting to dry up, and we'll start to see some more offensive positions running pretty soon. Um, yeah, so much defense, says Ricky. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really where the big needs were. We mentioned the high scoring last season. And a lot of these rookie defenders, it'll take time for them to get up to speed, but that was part of it. Was we had a lot of rookies on defense last season. We had, the league wasn't fully full on the back end as well, and that's just where most of the openings are now. So it's interesting to see this much of a run on them, but yeah, not overly surprising as well. Um, People joined after the draft, Marco. They will be eligible for waivers after the draft. So basically, once the draft is done, if there's any new creations, I'll add them to the prospect channel and everything like that, and they can start progressing. And then sometime before the season, we'll do a waiver run where teams will claim players based on needs as well, and then get them into the lineup for week one coming up. Um, all right. Any thoughts on the Wells pick here before we move on to this, Sam?
I think everybody's going to be happy to hear something other than the front seven getting called off. We only have one middle linebacker left, and there's only one team that needs a middle linebacker. So I won't hear that name for a while. So now we'll hear some DBs. There's a kicker, and we got some a little bit of offense to go. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the draft goes. We knew that the front seven was going to be popular. Maybe didn't anticipate this popular, but definitely been a popular destination right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the front seven, we are going to get a bit of a break from them, like you said. However, we're not quite done with the defensive player run, as the final pick of the second round is going to be corner J Rock. Um, so another defensive player, one of only a few corners in the draft. That now makes 11 of the first 12 picks on the defensive side of the ball. Um, so that's a huge pick for the Atlanta secondary as well. That fills out their corners. So that's going to be nice for them trying to compete against some of these big wide receiving teams, which obviously they are one of them themselves, but helping them contain those guys on the outside. Any thoughts on the J Rock pick before we roll it over to season or to round three? Pardon me.
I think the biggest thing I would say from that is I would not have bet that we would have made it to this deep in the draft before the first defensive back went off with how many passing yards we give up. I mean, I know that the last couple of games I made adjustments to our playbook to keep our slot corner off the field, but everybody else is still running a lot of nickel and dime. So I thought that there'd be the corners taken a little bit earlier. So a little bit shocked to see all the way till the end of the second round before anybody went.
Yeah, especially with almost every team needing a corner, and only like I said, like I think there's three in the draft, so with that much scarcity, I did expect to see them maybe a little earlier, like you said, but J Rock first corner off the board, and I'm sure we'll see another one or two coming up as well. All right, so we've got this pick is in, and finally another offensive player for the first time in a little over a round, and that's going to be with the first pick of the third round, wide receiver Chester Chess. So the first wide receiver off the board, we saw a tight end go to round out the first round. Now to kick off the third is going to be a wide receiver, Chester Chess, a former MVP in goals. Somebody who's been quite dominant over there, just set the record for goals scored. I don't think he'll be scoring quite at that rate in this league right off the jump, but the user has some potential in sim leagues for sure. What are your thoughts on the chess pick here as we throw the Bears on the clock?
I think it's a great pick, especially if it's somebody that's in sim leagues already and they know progressions are key, get him in. And in the situation that he's coming into, the Eagles have plenty of weapons. I mean, they finished last place last season. I don't anticipate that this upcoming season. They will have a rookie quarterback. The last season, the two teams in the championship game had a rookie quarterback, so that's not an excuse or an out for Mr. Krieg. But we have Freddie on that team at receiver, Doug Britton, two good tight ends. So it's a little bit of a luxury pick to where you can bring somebody in that's going to get their progressions and get up to speed, and then they can start spreading the ball out to the third receiver as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And having those established weapons kind of stretch the field a little bit. And as with the Steelers last season, we had two veteran receivers, and I noticed like our third and fourth receivers got a lot of work underneath, and we're able to turn some slants and stuff into scores. So just because you're a new rookie doesn't mean you're not going to have an opportunity to score, especially with a team with some good weapons on the outside already. All right, the Bears pick is in. We're going back to defense, pardon me, and that is going to be cornerback Thomas LeClaire. We saw him in the chat a little bit earlier asking about corners and if we're going to see a run on them. 2 in the last 3 picks. I don't know if it qualifies as a run quite yet, but with only 3 on the board, maybe it does. What are your thoughts on the pick of LeClaire?
LeClaire joined Stable right at the start of last season. We didn't have any openings. He was relentless to get into one of the spots when we did have somebody, and Sabo, if you miss 3 weeks in a row, you're out of the league. So he was making sure he was on the horn with me as soon as that third week progression was over. Then he jumped in, did a great job, had one of the better batting average out of the rookies, even though he started 3 weeks late with 3 less progressions, and was a very consistent guy. So I think it's a great pick. Again, very surprised the corners lasted this long, but think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's still a surprise they lasted this long. There's only 1 left on the board now, so definitely a good pick. Here, up next is going to be the Miami Dolphins selection, and we're not going with defense this time. We're also not going offense. They're going to take the 1 special teamer on the board. That's kicker/punter Jaden Swift going to the Miami Dolphins. So congratulations to him. I think we saw at different points last season how important, and even especially in season 1, I noticed as well how important getting a kicker/punter in the league can be. Not only does it give you a chance for some field goals if it's progressing over a bot kicker, but also field position with the punts and stuff like that can help with your defense. So for those that are unaware, kickers and punters, 1 player controls both in this league, and just to get them a little more screen time. So yeah, congratulations to Jaden Swift, the lone kicker on the board, goes to Miami. Pardon me. Do you want to talk about that pick and maybe run off a little bit of time while I check my board real quick for my pick on the clock?
No, you have to submit immediately. I would say this is the first pick, and I'm a little jealous. So, like I mentioned earlier in round 1, I traded to move up and got rid of my second pick, and almost, I don't know, probably 20, 30 minutes after that, we had a kicker join, and I've been wanting a kicker. It sounds kind of funny, but kickers in this league, I think, are more valuable the punter aspect because of the field position. And, sometimes you get some shanks. So I think it's a great pick. Dolphins had a kicker last year. They ended up leaving, I think, right at the end of the season. So I know that Trev likes having that kicker, and it's definitely a big weapon to have. So going kicker punter here, I think is a great pick. It's one where I was hoping he was available 2 picks from now, but unfortunately, I got rid of my other selection and lost out on that one. So now we have Evan going to pick here, and For those of you that know Evan, he likes to try to mess me up. So picking right before me, he's probably trying to figure out more what I want than what he wants, sir. You have your pick in yet?
That's just about. I'm just gonna finalize one more thing and then make the selection. But yeah, it's definitely always a goal of mine to mess you up.
All right, so we have, let's see, picks left. So we're going to go with Evan here when he's ready, and then I got a pick, and then we're going to the Chip Falcons, and then we roll over to round 4. What do you guys got left on the board total here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 10 people left. And there's a lot of names in here still that I think typically would have went earlier if we didn't have all this defensive run. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not in the market for wide receivers or tight ends, but some names in there that I recognize. So maybe Evan rounds out that receiving core because he did throw to the third receiver a decent amount last season.
All right, our pick is in. Yeah, we did not go to the receiving option this time. We do still have 3 receivers on the board, or on our roster, pardon me. So when we do draft one later, it will be our third or our 4th receiver, pardon me. So our selection here is actually going to be defensive back, corner Adam Rage, going to Pittsburgh. The final corner comes off the board. It wasn't actually my intention, but I'm guessing that might have been the direction you were going there, Sam. I'm not sure. I know you have or had him in goals, I believe, and corner was the last opening here. So now that throws San Fran on the clock. I don't know if Sam's cussing me out on mute right now or trying to figure out where he's gonna go, but definitely a interesting to see corners go a little later than normal, but definitely not not a ton of them in the draft, and they can be pretty important for some teams. So congratulations to Rage on being picked. Let's see, is there anything? Only 3 corners signed up. Just seeing if there's anything else in the chat here. Like Potty mentioned, he was the last overall pick last season as a QB. There's only one team that needs a QB this time, so that'll be a late pick, as well as some of the other positions that are going to be forced to certain teams. Going to be some later picks here as well. And we do have some new creations here. We have another outside linebacker that created a player, so that's going to be somebody in the waiver system after the draft that'll fill, another need on one of these other teams here that still needs an outside linebacker. So that'll be good as well. And like Sam mentioned off the top, if you have anybody that might be interested in the league, feel free to shoot them an invite. We got quite a few openings still. Definitely a good sign to see this league continuing to grow. So thank you all for being here.
I have it in if you are ready.
You have it in? Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was cussing you. Luckily, it was on mute. But, I only have 2 corners, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I have Rage in Saville and in goals. So I was looking forward to having him in PXF as well. So I called you a few choice names, but I'm over it now. So with the 5th pick in the 3rd round, I'm going to select the fellow Corninian, Zach Cornwall, safety. He's out of all the small towns, Corning, in the country, were both born or both lived in Cornings in separate states. So we are now on teams for the first time.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy little fact. You know, obviously not the same town, but to be living in, or at one point or another lived in a town with the same name is quite unusual. So, yeah, congratulations to Cornwall being the first safety off the board. Definitely deserving. You know, an active player, former owner, and goals as well. So, a nice pick there for San Fran. We'll see the Falcons go on the clock here. I believe I've been keeping team needs up to date. Actually, can you confirm, Sam? Is there anybody the Falcons can pick that's left? I actually don't think they have one.
Let me.
Because according to my
Is there
notes,
any tight ends left?
oh, there is a tight end left. Yeah,
There's a tight end left. Yeah.
yeah. So that's where they've got to go here. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll wait for them to officially submit it, I guess. But we know who the pick will be. Well, we've got a minute here. I'll just shout out goals. If you aren't in goals, the Hockey League, go check it out. Live draft coming up in a couple of days. It's going to be a lot nicer than this one. Some fancy graphics, videos. I saw what the theme is this season. Got a sneak peek of it the other night, and it's. I mean, I don't know how Dave continues to outdo himself, but it's going to be quite the show on Saturday. So make sure you tune into that. Join Make a Player if you haven't already. And yeah, it'll be a good time. PXF is one of the sponsors for the draft coming up on Saturday as well for goals. So a little bit of cross promotion there. And the pick is in officially. It's going to be Scott Cooper, tight end, for the Falcons now. So congratulations to Cooper. The last tight end officially comes off the board. Somebody who is also hoping to hear his name called on Saturday in goals, but plays the one position that is not guaranteed over there. So congrats to him. That's going to throw the Eagles on the clock to kick off the fourth round. Any thoughts on Cooper as we round out the last tight end coming off the board there, Sam?
Yeah, Cooper's one of the other names that I know from Saville. He was a pitcher this year. Actually, he's going to be a pitcher next year as well. He was looking at other positions, but he decided to stay a pitcher for the Rubber Ducks. So you know, somebody that hit every progression there. It's another good pick. That, you know, the Falcons have two rookie tight ends, and they're going to be on the field, and they both are going to have a chance to start, depending on, you know, what progressions Stroud likes. So I think it's a good pick, and good thing for him is that a tight end spot with another fellow rookie. So, you know, has a better chance of getting more playing time.
Yeah, absolutely. I might have made a mistake somewhere, but anyway, next pick is in, and that's gonna be another one that was forced. So, yeah, the only position Philly could select here, and that's gonna be QB Bank James. Finally hearing his name called. Somebody who's been active in the league since day one. Just switched positions away from linebacker to corner. You know, always driving chat activity and stuff like that. Unfortunately for him, had to wait a little while to hear his name called, but you know, has known for weeks which team he was going to be throwing the ball for. Was just waiting to make it official and get in that locker room and get to work for season 3. Thoughts on the pick of James as we throw Chicago on the clock? Yeah, and they've got one position they can take, I think, out of who's left, and a few names to pick from.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say with Bank James is that's one of those picks, like you said, he would have been picked a lot earlier if he was at one of the positions that multiple teams needed. But, you know, just like with Potty last year and coming over to the 49ers when Beeman went first, there was no sense in me picking anybody when I was the only team that needed a quarterback. So there's nothing where you get picked. It's what you do with it. So he's going to be good. He's been very active. You know, he's helping build a basketball league right now as well. So definitely in a Sin League world, he stays active and gets with it. So he's also in Saville, and I believe he's in goals, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in goals as DeMarcus Watson.
In
goals.
One of those guys that Krieg got lucky that, you know, with a person that got the quarterback spot was somebody that's active, and Creed doesn't have to worry about who he's going to be bringing in there. He knows he's got an active guy. So
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a nice pick, a nice pickup at quarterback. Somebody active at that position is important. They always say it's the most important position in football. So to get an active contributor at that spot is crucial. All right, so we've got um, the Bears pick is in. So my computer's starting to slow down a little bit. Hopefully, we make it the rest of the way. The Bears have selected wide receiver Johnny Reno. He's going to be the newest member of the Chicago Bears. So congratulations to him. We're going to throw the Miami Dolphins up on the clock. Any thoughts here on the Reno pick as we watch the Dolphins on the clock? You there, Sam?
sorry, that mute button got me. I was just saying that with Reno, I always thought I liked the guy, but he always creates positions I can't draft. So I don't know if that's just a total ploy so that he doesn't end up on my team or what. But he's great in sim leagues. One of the leagues I base it off of. Obviously, I spend most of my time with Saville. Does a great job co-managing. Team that was in the championship series this past season, put up some huge stats. His name was one that would stand out in SFL. So definitely a good player in every league that he's in, and a great guy to have out there to help out too. So that's a great selection. One of those things of it's crazy he went until the fourth round, but it's 100% to do with the shortage of defense and everybody having some offense already. But definitely going to be a good pick, and he's going to end up being a great receiver for the Bears.
Yeah, absolutely. And to anyone watching, there's just going to be a moment of no talking on air for a sec while I just address something. So sorry for that. Just one moment here. All right, sorry about that, guys. We are back underway here, and um, the Miami Dolphins have selected a wide receiver, Kaz Allen. Um, so that's looking for that spot. Here we go. So the Dolphins take Kaz Allen, wide receiver. a very somebody who's been in the league before, was a tight end, I believe, for the Falcons last season, the championship Atlanta Falcons, if I'm not mistaken, was on that squad. So coming off a title, changed positions, decided to go wide receiver, maybe get a little bit more action, depending on the offense. Obviously, we see San Francisco utilize the tight end quite a bit. Um, but yeah, the he's changing to wide receiver. He's going to join Miami, and should be good for him. And we're seeing another creation once for next year in the draft. If there's openings at that position, we'll see. But yeah. So I was talking about, just while we wait for. Actually, no, it's my pick, so I should make my selection. But while I look over the list here, just going to finish what I was saying about goals the other day. This will be, I think, the 5th draft that Dave produces. If you need a link, it should be found in our Other Leagues channel, or you can shoot me a message on Discord, Ani Escola or Haxel Carter in PXF, and I'll get you a link for it. It's a hockey sim league, 500 people, something like that. So, yeah, definitely check it out. It's gonna have a great draft production in a couple of days here, and yeah, so we're gonna go. Let me pull up the sheet here, make sure I know who we got. Yeah, so the Steelers have 2 options here. You can go wide receiver, one of the 2 wide receivers available, or can go with a safety here. Just seeing which wide receivers are still available so that I know who I'm picking from. And then, yeah. Sam, are you back? Did you want to weigh in on that, on the last couple wide receivers we saw picked?
Well, I did not catch the names. I'm still trying to get a hold of somebody here.
So
Let's
it was
see.
Johnny Reno to Chicago right before we took that little intermission, and then Kaz Allen, who was a tight end for the Falcons, went at the 3rd pick of the 4th round to Miami.
Yeah, so Kaz, like I think I heard you talking about that. He's tight end, wanting to get more catches out there at the receiver spot. I believe he was. I don't know if he started or if he was the backup for Alabama last season, but it got his championship, and now he's going to go to a little bit more of a position to get his own name out there, getting some balls. So every team wishes they can throw the ball to tight end like the 49ers do, but um, sometimes people got to move out to the wide receiver spot to get more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like obviously you guys have a lot of success with that in in San Francisco with your tight ends, but yeah, for a lot of teams it's hard to get those tight ends the ball. So, so we're gonna go ahead and pick um, our last wide receiver here. It's gonna be Sean Robinson, wide receiver. And this was a tough one between him and Hilario, the last wide receiver on the board. Somebody that it really came down to just pretty much just picking one. We ended up going with Robinson here. He went with the speed progression package, which is, a little, speed or possession, both impactful, but speed a little more impactful early on as far as getting open and things like that. So, thoughts on the Sean Robinson pick as you guys are on the clock, as I look to see if there's even position. Oh, we might have to wait for.
Let me finish this message here. So if you can do fill time. You can find us 3 people for Saddle. We only need 3 to have the whole season 7 full.
Yeah, so I gave goals its shout out earlier. I'll give goal or Sable it's due now as well. My co-host here, Sam, aka Trunan, he runs baseball league over there, SAABL. We use AA teams. It's a lot of fun seeing some unorthodox team names like the Trash Pandas, the Rumble Ponies, the Rock Hounds, like teams that maybe aren't named how major league teams are are nowadays, and it's some fun concepts and a great baseball league. Lots of fun to watch. Some pretty entertaining games. So yeah, he mentioned there's only 3 openings left, and then season. I think he said season 7 is up next. Will be completely full up. So if you want to get in a baseball league, go join that up. And even if you're late and don't get one of those 3 spots, just join up anyway. Get on the wait list, and that way, if somebody gets the boot, you can take their spot, or you can be available for the draft the following season. So yeah, go create there. Should be on our other leagues channel as well, or like I said, you can message me for links to anything. I'm in a bunch of leagues, so hit me up for some links to leagues if you'd like, and they're gonna have their draft coming up. There's no date set yet, but probably in the next few weeks here sometime. What's the Braves minor league team? That's a great question. I am not sure. The teams in that league, I'm going to see if I can remember them all and read them all off. We got the Rockhounds, the Midland Rockhounds, that is. We've got the Springfield Cardinals. That's one with a more normal name. The Binghamton Rumble Ponies, the Rocket City Trash Pandas. We got the Portland Sea Dogs, the Amarillo Sod Poodles, the Richmond Flying Squirrels, and I'm about to piss off a whole team by forgetting the last one. I'm gonna blank on what the last team is. If somebody's in the chat and knows what the last team in Savile is,
Did I hear you say Rubber Ducks?
that's the one. That's the one I was missing. The Akron Rubber Ducks.
Everybody forgets everything in Ohio, so you're okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I do this like I was talking to my sister about this actually the other day when I'm trying to list off every team in the NFL or every team in the NHL as like a little challenge or whatever. I'll go division by division and I'll just forget one random team every time, and it's always a different team. So like I might forget the Arizona Cardinals one time, and then the next time I might forget the New York Giants or something. Just it's always a different team I blank on. So yeah, so there's some pretty fun names in that league. Some good people running teams. So yeah, if you can't find it in the other league's channel, hit one of us up and we'll get you a link to it if you're interested. Yeah, so that's what we got goals coming up. Are you good now, Sam? We're still waiting.
Yeah, so I have the 49ers selection in. Sorry about the delay. Deontay Hilario, wide receiver.
Okay. So the 49ers take the final wide receiver on the board. And wait for this to load up. Yeah.
We have the middle linebacker left and the safety left. So I think those are going to be forced picks.
Yeah, they should be. So the Falcons would be on the clock right now. Do they have an opening? I don't think so. I don't think they can take either of those. So then we rotate back. Philly can't. Next up would be Chicago would be next. Chicago could take neither one. So then
I believe we have a Miami for the middle linebacker and the Steelers for the safety.
Yeah, so that'll do it for the draft. So the Dolphins select middle linebacker Anthony Simmons, and the Steelers select safety Bell Crennel. So those are the last 2 picks. Sorry to you guys for having to wait so long to hear your names called. But like I said, that's not a slight on anybody, just positional availability. Once certain people come off the board, the rest wait a little longer. Just team strategy and all of that. So definitely, draft position doesn't matter so much. I got David Hume in the 5th round of the goals draft a few seasons ago, and turned out to be a pretty good player. So that happens all the time. Ren Lysander was a 10th round pick, stuff like that. These are goals examples, but you see it everywhere. What are your thoughts, Sam, on how the draft unfolded and how things went?
Well, in those the last 2 players, I mean, Anthony Simmons, I believe he's been in the championship game both years as a middle linebacker because he played for the Cowboys, and season 1 they made it to the championship. Played for the 49ers last season, and we made it to the championship. So that's a good sign for the Dolphins to get him as their middle linebacker. He's been in both of the championship games. And then with Bell, That's why it took so long when I was kind of at a safety spot. Is he's been active, been chatting. I see he just joined Sabo as well. I don't know if he's in goals, but a name that I've been seeing a lot more frequently lately. So I was debating, even though I know the corn man pretty well. I was kicking it around. So I think you got a good pick by. I think both of us were going to delay at safety because we figured whichever guy we get, we're going to be in a good spot. So overall, this is what I anticipated as far as what I would get. Um, I didn't have a lot of need at the positions that were available, so I wasn't expecting a lot of players for me. But I think the Bears, they're looking a lot better. They're shaped up and rounded out their roster a little bit. Still gonna struggle on defense with how many holes they had, but I'm excited to see them kind of grow into that new spot, and excited for Potty to get his fingers on there and start molding that team.
Yeah, and for a team with so many needs, I think he did a nice job. He made a couple trades after coming in, picked up some extra picks. He traded back with me to he picked up a roster player plus a pick for the picks. So even though he traded back, he was able to turn one player into two on a team that had a lot of needs. So definitely a nice job for the Bears. We'll see how they do when the season comes around, but a team that had a bunch of needs coming in, I think did a really nice job addressing that. The Dolphins are, I think, just one player short of being full. The Falcons, I think, same thing, or two players maybe. Um, Eagles, a couple players short. The Steelers, about three players short, I think. And then San Fran, same thing, about two or three players. So a lot of these teams not far from being full, so it should make for a great season coming up. And yeah, you mentioned Bell Cornell, technically, the Mr. Irrelevant quote unquote pick of this draft, the last one. But yeah, we knew we both liked both safeties, so we were kind of waiting to see who struck first. And we almost took a safety when we took Rage, but we ended up going with the corner for that position scarcity situation as well. And um, yeah, definitely Cornell is in goals. You mentioned you weren't sure. He is in goals. He'll be another player hearing his name called twice in 4 days. So probably by me again as well on Saturday as I host the season 7 goals draft with Chewy Canadian um, on Saturday. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as what else is coming up in the league. We'll probably end up having to do like a preseason with like vanilla playbooks, kind of like we did last season. We'll figure out the schedule, and then we'll have week 1 starting a week or two. So stay tuned for that. If you're new to the league, how the schedule typically works, we play games on Wednesdays, progress once a week. So it's not like not going to be like Goals or Sabo where we're playing a bunch of games every week. Each team plays once a week typically, and play 10 week season. So a lot of fun those games. So I hope to see you guys tuning in and watching them and chatting throughout the season. Any closing thoughts for our viewers here, Sam?
Well, not for the viewers, but for you. I had gotten over you taking Rage, but thanks for just reminding me again that you took him right before me, and you were thinking about a safety, but you found a way to shaft the 49ers instead. So thanks for bringing that up again. I was feeling too good about it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm sure. Well, I know this goals draft. Neither of us have a whole lot of picks, so I don't know if we'll be able to snipe each other again. But it's always fun picking somebody that you knew was going to go right away anyway. But yeah, yeah. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks Sam for coming out and co-hosting and for all the work you do for the league as well. This league wouldn't run if it weren't for you and for all these people that are in it and watch it, make it so fun. So thank you to everybody, and that's all we've got for tonight. Take care, you guys.
Thanks for being on the show.